Noswaith dda, pawb. Good evening, everybody. Hey, hey.
Hello.
So, because there's quite a few of us now, and I'm still getting used to navigating like an online space. So I have been told that the chat box is really useful if there's a lot of people, so you don't get like microphone interference. So if everybody puts themselves on mute for now, and maybe at the end we can do a little bit of sharing, you know, if we feel so inclined. So I've given the entire session an hour. It might be a little bit longer, it might be a little bit shorter. That's just like the sort of ballpark. So if you do need to leave at any point, you know, don't feel bad or anything like that. Just, you know, just do your clicky things, and yeah, I'll send the replay out afterwards anyway. So, and what I might do, I had a thought. Again, I'm still getting used to navigating online, so I didn't know how to do it live. But when I send the replay out afterwards, I'll edit the video before I upload it. And what I'll do is I'll put some graphic text over the top of the video, so that if you know you just want to practice the Welsh chant, like the actual pronunciation and things like that, you'll have text on the screen at the same time. Just because, yeah, sometimes seeing something visual just kind of helps, doesn't it? Okay, so give me a ballpark. Everybody chuck in the chat box where you're at in the world right now, because that's always nice to know. And which part about this intrigues you the most, or is it like equal parts, you know? Because there's very much a sort of sacred sounds element to this, and there's the language element. So, yeah, I'm just curious as to what drew people in the most, you know? Okay, and yeah, and if there's any more sound issues, let me know. I think we've got them sorted, but let me know if it's difficult. Wow, we're all over the world. Look at that. Oh, gosh, yeah. We really are. Germany, New Zealand, UK. We're all. Where's we're all? Why do I not know?
It's just in between North Wales and Liverpool.
That's right. That's right. Oh, lovely. Amazing. Yeah, the Neolithic tie as well is a big thing. Yeah, I resonate with that as well. I always feel something quite strong when I'm with the stones. I get it with the water as well, but it's very it's very grounded with the stones, I find, whereas it's, you know, obviously more flowy with the water, but you get what I mean. We've got a few people from Canada. My nanny's from Canada. The accent always makes me feel a little bit warm inside. An island, woo! Look at us go! All coming together over a little bit of Welsh language. I love it. Okay. So half my time in this morning. So you might have better Welsh than me. Yeah, it's so right, I'm going to mention this now because it's come up in one of my posts. So I grew up in South Wales, so my dialect, my accent is South Walian. It is different to North Wales. Okay, so I'm just like, if you're ever wondering, oh, that's not quite like, you know. And also the other thing with chanting and with sound. So how do I explain this? I'm trying to find the right way to explain. You know how in English, if you're writing a poem and you have some creative license with the language because you know that language intimately and you are doing creative writing. So sometimes there's like a creative play on words. So that does come up with my work as well, but I'll always let you know if that's the case. Like, so where this came up the other day is the word hydodol and hydolis. So hydolis is like magical, but the word that, like the academic word that they were using in the dictionary, whereas hydodol is more of a poetic coinage on the word hyd, which means magic. So I'll always let you know when there's like poetic license going on. There isn't this evening, but I just thought I'd mention it because the Welsh language is a poetic language. There's a lot of wordplay. A lot of words can have lots of different meanings, you know, same as they can in a lot of other languages. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that and mention that I am South Walian. I do have a South Wales accent and I do use that dialect. So there might be like mild differences. I found that out as well the hard way when I was learning Swedish, because I was learning Swedish before I went out there, and I got there, and after about 2 months of like people every now and then going, I was like, what's going on? And then a friend said to me, well, you've been speaking like Shakespeare in Swedish. Because it turned out that I'd been learning like this Stockholm, like Middle English version of Svenska. So, you know, it does happen. So yeah, it's just to let you know what dialect, you know, that you're essentially learning right now. Okay, so I made a couple of little notes just because there's some things that I didn't want to forget to mention. The first is the power of sound. And I know it might seem like these things are unconnected in terms of like the Welsh language and sound healing, but something that I've found as a sound healer myself is that there actually is quite a bit of crossover. So if you think of in terms of vowel sounds and the toroidal fields that are created with those vowel sounds, you can arrange any language in that order, but Welsh has this, I call it, it's a sing-songy language. Like it has a rhythm, it has a bit of a swing to it, and yeah, the vowel sounds run into each other in a very similar way to some of like the sacred mantras and things that you can find. So the power of sound for me, like it really comes down to like the building blocks of creation. So you could go to so many cultures all across the world, and a lot of them have their creation myth based around sound or frequency in some way. So, you know, Native Americans, there's the mother spider who, you know, she wove the web and awakened the first beings with breath and her song. And then there's the Maori as well. So I know somebody here is from New Zealand. Yeah, there you are. Hi, Jane. They have a creation myth that is around a sound that comes out of the void, I believe. Like it begins with the void, but breath and vibration is what stirs the gods into existence within the void. So obviously I don't teach on these cultures, but it's noticing the patterns within them. Even like the Vedic Om, you know, when you do the Om, that for them is the primordial sound of creation. So wherever you go in the world, you know, sound plays a really big part in creation. So as I mentioned, with the Welsh language being sing-songy and it has like this swing to it, that's where we begin to cross over into things like brainwave entrainment through rhythm. So when you beat a drum to a shamanic beat, it's usually about 4 beats per second, roughly, but it creates so the brain waves will entrain themselves to match that beat. And theta brainwave state is between 7 and 10 hertz. So when you repeatedly listen to the same beat, your brainwaves will start to match that beat. Binaural beats that you can find online and all over the place, they're wonderful things. Hang on, there's some people in the waiting room. I'm just going to let them in a second. So, what was I saying? Here we go. I think everybody's in. So yeah, so binaural beats work with brainwave entrainment in a slightly different way, where the brainwaves will make up the difference between the 2 beats. So binaural beats work by playing, I'm going to use 100 hertz as an example, but say you played 100 hertz in one ear and then you played 110 hertz in the other ear, your brainwaves would make up 10 hertz. So it makes up the difference between the 2 frequencies, and that's how you can entrain the brainwaves using binaural beats. So when I work online, I work with binaural beats because it's the easiest way to help people drop in to that theta brainwave state. When I'm in person, when I work with people in person, I use the drum and I use other sound instruments. I work largely with water instruments, and that's just something that I do, but everybody has their thing. And the point is that sound directly affects the brain and the state of consciousness that you're in. So, that being said, let me just make sure I haven't missed anything off. I did mention the vowel sounds, so I do have some Welsh chants that are more like mantras in the sense that they use the vowel sounds to induce altered states of consciousness as opposed to a beat. So today we're working with a beat, with a rhythm, but I do have other ones that are based more around vowel sounds, which I'll stick a pin in for tonight because honestly it's a whole nother thing. But I just wanted to let you know that there are different ways of working with chants and with language when it comes to like implementing sound healing principles within that. Okay, so yes, this one this evening uses rhythm. It uses the swing of the Welsh language. And yeah, so the other thing I wanted to mention, one of the reasons I started working with Welsh language when I was doing chants, it's a funny story actually. I'll try and keep it as condensed as possible, but I did a little stint on a paranormal investigation team, and one of the things that we did was investigating like really old manor houses, and we did an evening in Margam Park, in the big house there, and I had just like this intuitive hit because, you know, people were trying to communicate and things like that, and it occurred to me that the spirits of that place, it was very unlikely that they even spoke English because, you know, the servant staff of that building would have been Welsh speakers. So I just sort of started talking in Welsh, and I got a little bit more of a reaction, and then that just sort of got me thinking about how long, because I work with spirits of place and of the land a lot, but how long spirits of that place have been speaking and hearing Welsh compared to how long they've been speaking and hearing English. And in Wales, they more likely to recognise Welsh than they are any other language. So it was kind of like a practical thing for me as well. It just meant that I could connect a little bit quicker and easier with the spirits of the land. So if you ever are, if you are in Wales, I encourage you to do that. You know, all the stone circles and all the burial chambers. And equally, if you ever visit, please, you know, come and speak to the spirits of the land. And yeah, and maybe after tonight, you know, you'll be able to speak to them in a language that they're going to recognise so much quicker. It's not to say that they won't recognise English, of course. It's just, I suppose it's cheating a little bit, you know, because they're just more likely to recognise that. So yeah, that's pretty much the preamble to the main event. But I hope you found it interesting. It's just, you know, it's the tip of the iceberg, really. And I hope that you go on your unique little rabbit holes into, you know, sound and language. So, does anybody need to readjust themselves or light an incense, cleanse their space, anything like this? Now is the time to do that. And we'll go through the practicals. So I wanted to do it in a particular order. You know, we're all at different places and spaces in our lives. So I'm going to go over some of the basics and then go straight into it, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And these are just things that I've noticed from working in communities, like some of the things that have come up that people are like, oh, I didn't really know how to do that, or I wasn't sure about this. So I'm just going to cover these like frequently asked questions before we start. So when it comes to the breathing, because we'll practice the chant first, just with our voice, and then we'll add the percussion in afterwards. But with the breathing, it's important to remember that we all have different size lungs. We all have, you know, different ways of breathing. Just do what is comfortable for you, up to the point that is comfortable for you. But what I encourage to do is, when you breathe in, I want you to just pay attention and make sure that you're sending that breath all the way down into the lower lungs. So you should, in theory, feel your belly expand and then your chest will rise to follow. So it's like you know, it expands at the bottom and then it expands at the top, and then you know you've used the full capacity. And then equally, you're going to be breathing out while you're chanting. So while you're making sound, just do the chant to the point that is comfortable for you, where you've squeezed the bottom of your lungs and you just know you've used all the air that you could possibly use. And then take as long as you need to take that breath back in. Okay, don't worry about how fast somebody else is breathing. Don't worry about how big their breath is compared to yours. Just take as long as you need to make sure that you're filling the lower belly and then you're letting the chest follow. So I just wanted to mention that about the breathing before we started. And let's go into learning the chant. Okay, so the chant is, oh my God, I forgot it for a second. You know those moments. Okay, so it basically translates as wisdom of my ancestors, or wisdom of the ancestors. So the middle word is interchangeable based on, are you invoking or connecting with your individual unique ancestry, or are you connecting with the ancestry of the land that you're stood on in that moment? So doethineb is wisdom. Would be the, so it would be of the land, and the would be of my. Okay, so it's up to you which one you want to choose. I'm thinking for this evening, I would go with the, only because not everybody can roll their R's. So it's not, and honestly, it's a learned skill for a lot of people. So don't feel any which way about it, okay? What I'll do is I will add that into the replay so that you can practice it at home in your own time. But for this evening, we'll go with the, so it's wisdom of my ancestors. So it's doethineb fy hanafiaid. Okay. Yeah, I'm about to write it in the chat box now. Good catch. So give me a second. I'm going to write this in. I'm going to write it as it's spelt, and then I'm going to write it phonetically, okay? Okay. If I press enter, it's going to send the message, isn't it? So I'm just going to put some dashes, and then I'm going to do the phonetic. So, boy, the, neb. Let's go with the first word first, and let's practice that. Let's not overwhelm ourselves a minute. Okay, so doethineb is doi thi neb. Okay, so all your mics are off, so feel free to just repeat it in any voice you need, and if you need some extra guidance, but I'll repeat it with you. Doi thi neb. Doi thi neb. Doi thi neb. Doi thi neb. So up to the scale that we'd be using it. Doi thi neb. Doi thi neb. Okay, so I'm going to go with the next one. Are we all, can we have a thumbs up? Are we good? Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, so the next word is ver, which basically means of my. It's hard to write things phonetically sometimes, but it's basically ver.
Ver or the?
The. It's more of a, so that's why I put the H on the end, because it's more of an open end. The. Yeah, so you doethineb, the. Excellent. Okay, glad that translates. And then hanafiaid is ancestors. Right. So hun av I'm just going to try it this way. So it's hun av yaid. Let me know if that's reading right for you with that sound. Hun av yaid. Doethineb fy hanafiaid. I've spelt it wrong there. I've done a typo, excuse me. Hanafiaid. There you go. So in Welsh, the letter F is pronounced like a V. So that should help whenever you're reading Welsh. So an F sound is actually two Fs, and a V is an F. So the first word is wisdom. So it's wisdom of my ancestor is what you're essentially chanting. Doethineb fy hanafiaid. Come on then, get some mics on. Let's hear it. Doethineb fy hanafiaid. We'll do it together. Okay, so on three, let's all do it together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Doethineb fy hanafiaid. Okay, so that last word is a yaid on the end. Hanafiaid. There we are. Doethineb fy hanafiaid. Doethineb
Hunnafiaid.
How are we feeling? Sounding good?
There's kind of some feedback noises from
It's because
some
everybody's got their mics on.
Yeah,
That'll
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so are we ready to give it a go? What we'll do is we'll give it a go for like 2 minutes. And then after that, we're going to step into ceremonial space wherever we are, if you can. Just get into that mind frame, and we're going to go for a solid 10, okay? So let's just do like 2 minutes without the drum. Yeah, chuck your mics off, but do repeat it. And I'm just going to sit here and repeat like a bit of a speak and spell so you can follow along, okay? So I'm just going to do like a minute, and we're just going to practice, and then we're going to go in for it, okay? What I'm actually going to do, so I'm going to add my drum in just so you can see, right? There may be, you might get a little bit like, you know, like what also you might find happens is during this chant, you're going to have moments where you speed up or you slow down, or you're going to miss a beat, or, you know, your breathing's not going to be the same as everyone else's. None of our breathing's probably going to be the same, and that's fine, you know? So try not to concern yourself with anyone else. Just get into your zone. As I said, take as much time as you need to breathe and make sure that you are using the full capacity of your lungs. And yeah, it's sometimes we speed up, sometimes we slow down, you know. You get into that zone and you're going to do what your body, your nervous system, and what your mind needs you to do in that moment. So just trust the process, okay? So let's go for a couple of minutes. Doethineb fy hanafiaid. 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 How are we feeling? Yeah? I'm going to bring it in with the drum. Doethineb fy hanafiaid. 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 Okay, so you get where we're going with this? Yeah? Feeling good? Okay. So we're going to go in on this now. Just a heads up, my voice might get weird. Your voice might get weird. Just go with it, okay? You're not going to be able to hear each other, so don't worry about your voice. I'm just warning you, my voice might get weird. It's just all part of the process. Okay. So I'm just going to make sure that we do the full 10 minutes. All right. Okay. If you get tired, don't worry. All right. Oh, I've got something in my... Here we go. Okay. Doethineb fy hanafiaid. 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 Okay, 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I've never done that online before. Bear with me a second. Okay. Okay. Whew. How's everyone feeling? Alright. So, take some grounding breaths. A bit vibrating. Yeah, I'm right there with you a minute. It takes a minute to come back around. Yeah. I did find myself slipping in and out just because obviously I'm aware that I'm sort of hosting the space in a sense, so I didn't want to be away with the Tylwyth Teg too much. But yeah, how's everybody feeling? Chuck it in the chat box. Let's talk about it for a minute. And if anybody's feeling like they'd like to use their voice to talk as well, please do. You know, we're all grown-ups here. I'm sure we can, you know, take turns, and you know, the microphone is what the microphone does. You know? Okay, so I'm just going to try and scroll down in the chat here. Is my mic off? Can you all hear me? Or did you mean your mic is okay? All right. So yawning a lot. Yes, so yawning. So there's two primary things with yawning. There's the physical side where actually potentially you're not getting enough oxygen into your lungs. So this is why practicing with the breathing cycles is really important to make sure that you are, you know, getting enough oxygen. And the other part is the movement of energy as well. So you can move a lot of things through the body, and yawning is another way that we expel excess energy. Ironically, because, you know, we associate yawning with being tired, but really it is, I mean, yes, we're tired, but ultimately being tired means we're probably not breathing properly, and that's why we yawn, to get more oxygen into the body. So yeah, there's a physical side to that, and then there's the energetic side. So you just use your discernment and, you know, check in with your body to feel into which one that is for you. Losing track of the words, I do that, and I've done the chant a million times, so don't even worry about that. It just comes with practice. And sometimes, so this is another thing that can happen to people as well when they use rhythmic chanting for altered states of consciousness. So ideally we would have gone for 17 minutes, but honestly I'm not sure about doing that in an online space yet, because I'm not there to physically hold you if you needed it. So I thought 10 minutes was like probably the safest bet, but you build on that, because 17 minutes is like, that's where you're really going to drop into those altered states. So you may have found you dipped in and out of it during this time, because that's what happens when you lead up to the full land, is you'll dip in and out, you know, you'll come back and forth, and then all of a sudden you'll be gone. So sometimes what can happen with that as well is, I don't know if you've ever heard of automatic writing, where you just grab a pen and you channel and you just start writing stuff down. But that can happen with the voice as well sometimes. So you could be doing a chant like this, and, you know, 10, 17 minutes in, the chant changes, and you might not even realize until you've said it, you know, 5 to 10 times, and then you're like, oh, whoa, I'm saying different words here. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. But again, just go with it, because your intuition is really good for you. It really knows what you need in that moment. I always say this as well, like with guided meditations and journeys and things like that, because ultimately you know, whoever you're working with, whoever's guiding that meditation or journey, they have their guides that work with them, and they're essentially working with your guides as well. And your guides know you better than my guides know you. Do you see what I'm saying? So if they want to take you somewhere that I'm not necessarily specifying, I am not here to tell them that they're wrong. You know, you go with what is right for you in that moment. So yeah. Whew. So I've got a lot of buzzy feelings. That's good. Buzzy feelings is good. Yeah, I found somewhere in the middle as well that I dropped into a bit of a trance state, and then I had to like sort of catch myself because I was like, "Whoa, you're hosting." Do you want to do a raise? Yeah, raise hand. That's good. See, I'm still getting used to this Zoom thing. Yeah, please do, and unmute if you want to have a chat about it. Yeah, you, Ellen.
Okay, sorry, I got shy.
That's okay.
So I had a question. I was wondering if you could speak more to why you're choosing that pace, because I was expecting more of like a sort of drawn out mantra. Like when I've done kind of mantras, I've done them really drawn out, whereas this was like da 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 da, and
Yeah.
it was it was
Yeah,
really different.
yeah. So basically, we're working with the brainwave entrainment through rhythm as opposed to through vowel sounds. So the long drawn out ones. So when we were at Coed at the Hearth, and I shared some Welsh mantras there, and they had the long drawn out vowels. It is a different thing. You're essentially getting to the same place, but it has a bit of a different vibe. Yeah, I would say when you're working with rhythm like we have this evening, it's it's hard to describe the difference. You've caught me off guard, but I would say maybe it is more gentle with the vowel sounds. It works more with the vowel sounds, it works more with the auric field, whereas the rhythmic stuff works with brain waves. So if I was to like break it down into like physically what's happening, that would be the primary difference, is that what we did this evening works with brain waves, and the vowel sounds, the mantras that extend the sounds, works more with the auric field and creates toroidal fields within the auric field. So, I mean, again, that's like a subject for another time, but yeah, that's essentially the difference. So I would say that the rhythmic stuff, I mean, this is my personal opinion now based on my experiences, but the rhythmic stuff works more with the mind, and I find the vowel sounds work more with the body. So yeah, that's about as close to answering that question, I think. Is that okay? Do you have like a follow-up question, or is that?
No, that's really interesting. I'm gonna go and think about it a bit more. Maybe try the two and see the difference as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe we could do that another time. We could do, yeah, we'd have to do like a good, because there needs to be separation between them, I think. But yeah, definitely go explore, even if you just do the you know, and then use something rhythmic like what we did tonight, and see how it feels different in the body and in the mind. Does anyone else have any questions at all? Feel free to like unmute and have a chat.
Yeah, I find it interesting. Most mantras that are used in the spiritual scenes are of course, in Sanskrit, right? So, what in your experience, what the difference, like, is there a difference? Obviously, it's different languages, different energies, but it's still like sounds, right? Like
Hmm.
linguistic sounds. So what would be the or I mean, I'm neither Indian nor Welsh, so uh it's
That's
just
okay.
interesting for me, like what would be the
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I dropped my jaw. Yeah. So basically, it kind of comes down to this. It's the same thing, essentially, as what I just described. So Sanskrit works a lot with the extended vowel sounds.
yeah,
So it works very much in the auric field. It's
right,
actually
okay.
where I got like yeah, it's where the idea came from because the the sound of om, so om is actually like an aom. So it's the rolling of one vowel into another and
Right.
extending that sound outwards. And it creates a toroidal field that moves outwards and back in to the body. So it's like a breathing motion. So, and it made me think about Arwen, because when we
Ah,
sound out Arwen, it creates a very similar toroidal field. So that's kind of like how I got onto it. Yeah, but I would say that that is essentially the difference. I don't really speak much Sanskrit, and I'll be honest, I'm not. I know the bare bones of what most people know in the Eastern traditions, enough to see the similarities, but not enough to be able to have any sort of authority to be speaking on it at all. So
but
yeah.
just like there were the bards, for example, right? So did they have similar traditions? I mean, do we know about that? What they sounded? I mean, because I think in India, of course,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just much more unbroken
Yeah, that was one
in
of the things
comparison, at
that
least.
came up. So bards have an ability to captivate their audience, and I do actually believe that the rhythmic sing-songy swing of the Welsh language has a lot to do with that. Um, so it has different layers to it because there's the whole a lot of what they write is quite ambiguous. It can be interpreted one way or another. So there's that
Mhm.
layer to it, but then there's also yeah, the way that it's spoken. I remember in school we had to learn how to perform poetry like a
Mm.
bard essentially.
Mm.
And yeah, one of the things that they kept drilling into me was you have to swing, you have to swing. And they would say make your face big, they would say, like, and like, because when you express more in your face, the sound, like the vowels in particular, they do are, they've got more girth. I don't know, so I think the way that poetry and things like that were performed, I think it does have a little bit to do with the rhythmic swing and being able to captivate your audience almost to a point of hypnosis,
Mm.
so and the best bards got paid a lot of money by the richest kings. So I mean, they weren't all unbiased, but some of them were so good at their job, they got paid a lot of money to portray certain imagery of certain people. So yeah, I do think it ties in with the bards a lot. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
There's a book that you might, I don't know if you've heard of it, but by Mancon Magan called Brahmins and Brehons, which talks about the kind of Indo-European migration trail and how the Celtic and Druidic cultures are very similar to the Vedic culture. So Kali is the Kailiak, and there's lots of correlations there, but there is a whole book about it, and Celtic yoga as well. So
Could
it's
you
all.
put that book recommendation in the chat? Would that
I
be
wanted to
okay?
ask you as well. I did have a question.
Yeah.
What made
Me
you
first.
what made you choose that chant? I mean, I'm guessing that kind of japa mantra or repetitive chant is it traditional in Wales? I didn't. If it was, I wasn't. Yeah. So you're kind of making kind of a blend of
So I mean, we know that the Druids chanted. I know history is written by the victor, but I don't see any reason why they would lie about the fact that they chanted. Um, what we did this evening is one that I've created. It's not like a lineage of you know. It's I'm a modern mystic, so yeah. I like to add to tradition. You know, there's like tradition, not tradition. What's the word I'm looking for? Um, do you know, I'm drawing a blank. I'm having a moment.
Story?
But
Maybe?
yeah, I think that was going to be my point, right? So I didn't use the word or the term ancestral work in my work for the past. It's only been really in the last 6 months that I've started to really embrace that wording in particular, because I've always been of the mind that sometimes we can get a little bit stuck in the past. In you know, we go down a road of overcorrection for our you know, modern sins, or you know, whatever you want to call it. And there is like there are some who are like, you know, diehard reenactment, you know, not reenacting, but doing things by the ancient book in the only way that they can prove it was definitely done. And then tradition kind of dies when we do that, because nobody's building on it, you know. I don't personally believe that the ancestors left us all of this wisdom so that we could go, thank you, that'll do. You know, I think it was left to us so that we could take that wisdom on board and use that wisdom to build the future, you know. So some things, yeah, like if I'm if I'm doing something that's historically accurate by the book, I will definitely let you know. Otherwise, you can assume that this is my work. This is what I've created based on my experiences and, you know, based on what I know from the past. But it's not necessarily exactly what they did in the past. You know, it's a new version. It's an updated version. You know, but all of that doesn't mean that I haven't, you know, brought that wisdom forward into that practice, if that makes sense. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think it's got to evolve. It's got to be relevant for the people in place at
Yeah,
the time, hasn't it?
exactly. I mean, it's no good, you know, it's nice to perform a ritual like they did 2000 years ago as a homage and as a, you know, as support and gratitude for what was left to us from them. But it's not going to have the same effect today that it did 2000 years ago, you know, because as you say, yeah, we don't live in a world 2000 years ago. We live now and today, and things are different. So, you know, things need to be updated a little bit, you know. But yeah, it's important to know where it comes from. If you can understand the roots of something, then your development moving forward is going to be so much deeper, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So
I think chanting is good for opening the heart as well. I grew up in South Wales as well, Victoria, but I live in Ireland now. And yeah, and I've done some like the Celtic medicine wheel and things like that. And it's often come up by people who are facilitating, for want of a better word, the groups that they have seen me chanting in Welsh. And which is quite interesting that I came across you, because I've never heard of Welsh chanting before. And I've wondered, like, because obviously we all had our battle cries, and it was the women who were warriors, and you know, without offending anybody, but like, you know, that's what the mythology and everything was. It was the women who were the warriors, and the women had the battle cries, and and everything else. So I've often wondered where to research and investigate this.
Ah,
Yeah,
I
so
have a thread for that if you'd like to pull on it.
oh, I would love to, absolutely.
Pull the
Because
thread.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
real,
So
because
mm, it
like,
comes back to sound again.
yeah,
So I've traced the sort of like female lineage. I've gotten as far, so well, I've gotten as far back as Lumeria, but we'll stick a pin in that and let's stick with this world right
yeah,
now. But the ancient Egyptian priestesses were priestesses of sound. Like they were singers, and they were pushed out of the temples at a certain point in ancient Egypt's history. So there's definitely something there in terms of sound and creation, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't know if you've ever looked at a diagram of the throat and a diagram of the uterus, but
yes, they're
like
very similar.
physically they are manifested the same shape.
Mm,
Like they both have these two things, and the
mm,
yeah, there's a whole thing about it. But that's not to say, I mean, again, we live in a different time now,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
They
there's
do
so
say,
much we could get into.
yeah,
Really.
they do say a lot of the ancient temples and like a lot of the sacred sites here have built or have been erected in a similar sort of
Mm,
shape and sphere. So yeah, it
yeah.
does. It's interesting, very
It is.
interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, sound is really a fascinating subject, like all the way
Mm,
through. I'll close off with this one little tidbit that
okay.
you can look into,
Thanks. I've
right?
just got to
Because
turn this on.
a little tidbit. But if you don't know what cymatics are right now, I'm going to put it in the chat box, and I
Sorry,
just
my battery was about to
no,
die.
you're all right.
Yeah, thank you for that. I do appreciate it. It's lovely to hear, somebody else's thoughts and feelings around the
Yeah,
butterflies and
it's a
everything.
very deep subject. It's a really,
Mm,
really deep subject. I've spelt it in the because it's spelt with a C, so it can be a bit deceptive. But yeah, cymatics is
yeah.
essentially the effect of sound on matter.
Mm.
I work with sound and water primarily, but it's all based around this. Um, enjoy that rabbit hole. I really, really encourage you to have a look into it because, yeah, there's so much that can be done. And even Einstein himself said that the future of medicine will be frequency and sound.
Mm.
So I'm going to leave you with that one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope everyone's had a lovely time, and I shall get the replay up either this evening or it'll be first thing in the morning, okay? And yeah, so noswaith dda. Diolch I pawb. Thank you everyone for coming.
Diolch yn fawr.
And yeah, I hope I'll see you all soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Victoria.
Diolch.
Bye.
Hwyl fawr.
Bye.
Hei.